It's gold. Shall we speak with the director of Net Zero Watch, Andrew Mumford? Andrew, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
The consequences of this decision by Ed Miliband.
Well, I think you've touched on most of the major points already. This policy has, as far as I can see, no redeeming features whatsoever. I think it's going to increase carbon emissions because we're going to be shipping all this oil in from far away. It's going to reduce tax revenues, not just from the oil companies themselves, but all the people who the oil companies employ and in the service industries that help the industry. They're going to be chucked on the scrap heap, so they're not going to be paying taxes either. I think quite an interesting aspect of this is that all those people whose jobs are now threatened will be talking to their trade unions and saying, "Oi, guys, why have you been supporting the Labour Party who are trying to put us out of a job?" I think we could well see a rift between some of the major trade unions and the Labour Party. I think that's going to be quite an interesting one to watch. So yeah, it's all going to be very unpleasant. I think Mr. Miliband is a fanatic. I think he's living in a fantasy world that he thinks we can somehow do without fossil fuels. This is just, even the official view of the Climate Change Committee is that we're still going to be burning lots and lots of gas and lots of oil in 2050 when we're meant to have hit net zero. So the idea that we can do without it, and as you quite rightly say, not just for energy, but also for petrochemicals, for pharmaceuticals and everything else. I mean, the bitumen that makes our roads comes from fossil fuels as well. We can't do without these things. So
and yes,
pretending
Andrew,
that we can do without it is madness.
And yet this was in the manifesto. This was voted for that in a campaign that won a huge number of parliamentary seats. And what the Labour Party might say in response is that it's much easier to turn off an import stream of energy when they want to wind down the amount of fossil fuels we're using. It's much easier to say, you know what, we'll just stop importing them than we'll shut down an industry that is already pumping them here at home. Perhaps this is future-proofing some of those big battles that will come if we are to get to net zero by 2050.
Yeah, but it's completely putting the cart before the horse. You need to have that alternative to fossil fuels up there and running before you can think about switching anything off, whether it's an import stream or a domestic stream. We don't have any way of balancing the electricity grid without gas-fired power stations. And until we have that, we can't even start thinking about switching it off. The whole net zero policy is a fantasy because we haven't answered these very, very important questions before going ahead with the policy. And it's going to get us into trouble. I don't think we're going to get to the end of Labour's term of office without this becoming a serious issue, a threat to the whole of the economy, because we cannot carry on in the way we have been. We need serious policy making, not environmental fanaticism.
As you say, Andrew, if it were the case that we could meet all of our energy needs already from green power, then absolutely fine. We don't need North Sea oil and gas anymore. But that's not the case. It's almost like, I don't know, moving out of your house before, the bricks have started being laid on your new one. Perhaps that's not the perfect analogy, but it is a bit like that.
Yeah, it is absolutely like that. And this is why I say we are being governed by fanatics. And, it's not just Labour. It was the Conservative Party before were going ahead in the same insane way as well. And this is good. We are going to run into a brick wall fairly soon. Another analogy, if you like. It's going to get serious. And yeah, I'm very worried about it.